Hi everyone, crazy news from Italy, from the supervolcano Campi Flegrei. And what I've been suspecting all along has now been confirmed by an interview of the leading person of the INGV. And what she said will blow your mind because it is basically confirmed now. We're dealing with magma. Magma is responsible for the unrest and not rainwater. Now you want to ask, wait a minute, rainwater? You might have heard about a few studies that came out recently last year. I've reported about this where they think that the ground uplift, the swelling of the volcano, don't worry, it's not magma, it's just rainwater that's soaking the ground. And if we could drain the area around Pozzuoli, around the supervolcano, that would ease the pressure. Forget about this. This is, I have to say again, groundbreaking because this changes everything. And now they're hinting at changing the alert level to orange. Finally, they've said that for years. If we see another magnitude 4+ earthquake, we will change it. And they didn't. Now we have multiple magnitude 4 earthquakes in the last 2 years, 4.6. Nothing has changed. They changed the alert levels, 2 levels of yellow, right? So now we're at medium yellow, close to orange, so that they didn't have to change it to orange. But what exactly am I talking about? You have to hear this because in a local interview in Italy, the scientists that are monitoring Campi Flegrei are now confirming something critical. The engine that is driving the volcanic crisis there, the volcanic unrest that started in 2005, it is magma, not rainwater, not just hydrothermal pressure. Magma. I say it again. And where is magma coming from? What does magma do? We're dealing with a volcano, and we also heard about the risk of phreatic explosions. They have also changed their attitude towards that. And what we hear there is also very concerning. So where does this come from? Well, this comes from new monitoring data and statements that are tied to the INGV scientists like Lucia Pappalardo, who's the head now. And what they're seeing right now is serious enough that they are preparing for a possible higher alert level. They're also doing other things to be better prepared. So let me break down exactly what they said because this matters. Let's start with the water thing. And then we get to the phreatic explosions. And what they're saying there is a little bit, no, it's very concerning. But why does this all matter? According to the latest observations, and by the way, we just had increased seismicity there again in April, just today, multiple earthquakes, 30 earthquakes in the last 24 hours, magnitude 2+ also. The system beneath Campi Flegrei is being driven by the accumulation of magma at depth. Let that sink in. This is an original translation from what was said in this interview. So this changes the perspective. It's not surface water. And it kind of makes sense, right? Surface water, come on. If it was so easy to drain a supervolcano from rainwater and surface water, and then the crisis that was happening since 2005 goes away. BS. Did you believe that? Let me know in the comments. Before we explain this any further, can you give this video a like and a hype? It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps my channel a big deal. So thank you for that. Not rain infiltration, not surface water. Magma, it is building pressure below the surface. That means magma is accumulating. That's why the ground is swelling. And for us volcano freaks, we know what that will lead to eventually, sooner or later. So, and also I want to say that they're not guessing. This is not a scientific guessing game. They're tracking the ground deformation, the land rise, the gas emissions, increased gas emissions, seismic activity. They see that in real time. And they even want to put up more monitoring stations right now. I wonder why that is. We know, guys, right? There's a deep magmatic system at a depth of around 7 to 8 kilometers, roughly 5-mile-ish, something like that, below the surface, and it's actively influencing what is happening above. And here's why and where it becomes critical. That magma is releasing something to the surface that tells us it's there. It's releasing gases. Those gases rise upwards, and then they get trapped beneath the hydrothermal system. You see it in the map behind me. That hydrothermal system that does contain water, right? So the pressure is building. The ground is rising up. Earthquakes increase. Shows up. Rocks are cracking. So what the people see and feel on the surface constantly there, basically within the last 3 years in Pozzuoli, at Campi Flegrei, where all the epicenters are. The shaking, the uplift, the gas coming out of the ground, right? Even in homes and basements and school buildings, people started feeling dizzy and they're like, what is it? Then they found out volcanic gases. But that's not the cause. That is not the cause of the unrest. That's the effect. That's the result. And this is exactly the shift that we're seeing right now, and that has been officially confirmed right now. For a long time, the focus was on water, hydrothermal fluids, steam, pressure from above. But now they have clearly stated, and they are clearly stating, the engine is below, the driver is magma. And at the same time, and this is important, they're not saying the eruption is imminent, right? They say, quote, there are currently no direct signs of magma rising towards the surface that would lead into an eruption. But wait a minute until I tell you about the phreatic eruptions, the ones without magma, White Island style. And here comes the but. They say this on the one hand, but they are preparing. Now they're increasing their preparedness, because if pressure continues to build and the system keeps evolving, the situation can change in a heartbeat and shizzy might hit the fizzy, as we like to say here on this channel. So what are the authorities now discussing? A possible shift to a higher alert level. And we've seen the last 3 years, they've really been trying hard to avoid that. And with a new leadership there in the INGV, it seems to change. Although the old one has also made statements also outside their official position that was like, I would increase it. I've been trying to warn, right? So why are they thinking about that? Again, not because an eruption is happening right now. Well, we would see that, right? But because the system is really clearly active, it's pressurized, and it's being closely watched, and they're collecting the data. And well, this is Campi Flegrei, in an area, greater Naples area, with more than 6 million people. One of the most dangerous volcanic systems in Europe and in the world, surrounded by all these people, millions of people, highly, highly densely populated, right? So when the scientists now say the engine is magma, you need to understand what that means. It means the source of energy is deep, it's continuous, and it's not something that will disappear overnight. And now the question is no longer, is this just water? These studies have been completely debunked. The question now is this: how much pressure is actually building beneath Campi Flegrei right now? That's why you see this headline here, today's article. Campi Flegrei with new sensors that they're putting up. We're also preparing for the orange alert. This is probably the best monitored volcano, or one of the best monitored volcanoes in the world already. And again, this was being said by Lucia Pappalardo, the director of the Vesuvius Observatory by the INGV. They're the ones responsible for monitor this thing 24/7. So now I want to switch. The risk of phreatic eruptions, steam explosions that send out volcanic matter and rocks within milliseconds, so fast that you cannot outrun them. This is highly dangerous. And the president of the INGV, that's the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, says we must be on alert for every sign. So what does that mean? He says the problem with these phreatic eruption is that they don't give us notice. They don't give us a warning sign. That's why they're so dangerous if this happens in such a densely populated area. So the risk of sudden phreatic explosions, explosive eruptions caused by the heating of groundwater without the direct involvement of magma, right? The magma is not coming out, but that has increased at Campi Flegrei, translated the burning fields. This is confirmed by Fabio Florindo, the president of the INGV, Italian National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology. And that was confirmed when they had a meeting with the technical authorities in Bagnoli to review the last 4 years of scientific research into the volcanism of this volcanic crisis that is happening there right now. So what they're saying, there's a circuit of hot water under hydrothermal pressure. Of course, it's being heated up. Pressure cooker, right? And if it encounters a more superficial layer of cold water coming from above, then explosions can occur. And that's the concern that they have, because they say numerous studies have confirmed the problem with phreatic eruptions is that they don't make any noise. No earthquakes, no rumbling, poof, they're just there. And then shizzy has hit the fizzy. So what they're saying, we have to be careful and we have to try to detect even the smallest signal that might indicate something is happening. And for years, I've reported about this. INGV scientists have warned we could see this at any time, and this could already be catastrophic. Not a supervolcanic eruption, but catastrophic enough in that densely populated area. In the middle of Pozzuoli, basically, they're building on the volcano, until the edges of the volcano, right? So they're saying, beyond that 24/7 monitoring that they're already doing with the Vesuvius Observatory, it's also crucial for citizens to be on alert and to promptly report any new phenomena that they're detecting. They have to call it in. So also in this meeting, they were trying to find out where exactly are the sources of the magma. It could be offshore as well, underneath the densely populated area, right? Something in the water is also not good, because that could trigger a tsunami that comes right away towards the shore of Naples, right? And they're looking at the last 4 years. So, and they said among their main investigations are those relating to the situation that they also have in the offshore area of the caldera. It's also a well-known location where there's magma underground. So basically they're telling us there are two main magma accumulation zones. One is around 5 miles deep, 6 to 8 kilometers, and another is deeper, 12 to 16 kilometers, like 9 miles, 10 miles, something like this. So they think there are no shallow magma accumulations, although we have studies with images that show us 3 to 4 kilometers, 2 to 3 miles, right? So they say what recent studies have said, it's wrong, it's not that shallow, but they say, well, it still could be that we have small veins or smaller accumulations at a depth of 3 to 4 kilometers. So basically they say, no, but then they say, okay, yes, it could be, right? But they say those guys will not cause a problematic eruption, probably an intrusion, and they cool relatively quickly and then they disappear if they come up that far. But they have talked a lot about the increase of the other parameters, which is concerning. And also, again, the new alert level scale that they have built, right, with 2 yellow levels, 2 orange levels. The current alert level is still like the darker yellow, that's attention. But they say And that's what does that mean, right? It's an attention level with a medium imbalance. So what does that mean translated? Well, it's almost orange, right? Shizzy might hit the fizzy, but we don't want to panic yet because orange would mean partial evacuations already, and it's bad for tourism, it's bad for the real estate industry, it's bad for development, right? So what they're saying, the current yellow scenario, yellow with a medium imbalance, these are their original words. This scenario does not rule out the possibility of phreatic eruptions due to the strong pressure exerted by the subsoil. Let that sink in for a moment. Let that sink in, what they're really telling us. And we know they're also trying to word that carefully because of the reasons that I just mentioned. So maybe we need to read between the lines also a little bit, right? So I hope this gave you an update. Let me know what you're thinking, but also watch this video here. What is going on with the Pacific Ring of Fire? And is New Zealand about to hit the shizzy? Because there is something going on. Is it next? We've got these big earthquakes, 7.8, 7.6, 7.3. Watch that video. It's highly interesting. Or watch what's going on here. So you have two choices. I hope that I see you in either one of them. Thank you for watching. Thanks for supporting this channel with your supers, with the memberships, and with the coffees. Link is in the description. So watch that here. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.